Welcome. This week we're getting ready to go over lessons 93 through 96. How'd this last week go? Did you enjoy getting to start working with some of the geometric shapes and solids? We're going to do that a little bit more this week. We're also going to get into some subtraction. So let's go see what materials are needed for this week, and we'll get started. You're going to need the worksheets, some scissors and some tape, the geometric solids, an empty egg carton, preferably one that has 12 spots. You're also going to need a couple items, either 2 eggs or 2 objects you could put in there also. Your place value cards, the abacus, the dry erase board, and the part hole circle set. Lesson 93, constructing a cube. So in this lesson, they're going to use their worksheet, and there's a pattern that they need to cut out. I've said this before, I'll say it one more time. Make some copies if your child wants to cut this out themselves, so that way if they should make a mistake, they have another copy that they could cut from. This shape they're going to make is a cube, and it's going to fit right over the wooden geometric cube that they already have. It also gives you some tips on the side in the extras how you can tape this paper cube to make getting the wooden cube out of it easier. Then you're just going to use some other things to compare with the cube, what can fit inside the cube, which takes up more space. Your child's going to learn about the term three-dimensional, which really just boils down to an object that takes up space. It has height, it has width, it has depth. You draw a square on a piece of paper, that's flat. That's not three-dimensional. But if you have a cube, which is a square face, but it's got width and depth, that is three-dimensional. In the practice section, you're going to be talking about words like a triangle or a cube or a square or a prism. Your child may need to see the actual shapes. For example, if you're going to talk about a cube and a square, you can draw the square on the marker board. Then they could see the cube to help them see what is two-dimensional, what is three-dimensional. Some children may not need to see that. Others will. I'm a visual learner, so I always do better when I can see things. Lesson 94, dozens and partitioning teens into tens. You know, just saying partitioning teens into tens is not something you can do really fast. That might make a good, what are they call them? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Tongue twisters. That could make a fun tongue twister for your child. So today's focus is going to be on the word dozen, introducing that term, helping your child to see what it is, but they're also going to focus on partitioning teens into tens. A lot of children, when you say 14, they think of it as 14 ones, not as a 10 and 4 ones. Now, of course, we've been using the math way of saying the names for these numbers. So your child may be just fine seeing that 14 and 13. There's a 10 and then either 3 ones or 4 ones. Some children are going to need more work on that. In the very beginning of the lesson book, there's a page called How This Program Was Developed. And Dr. Cotter writes about how this came to be. And you may have read this. If not, go read it. It's really, really interesting. But one of the things she did is she had 2 classrooms. She had one classroom doing the right start way of math. She had another classroom doing the traditional way of math. She has both classes make the number 48. And they did. They used 4 10s and 8 ones. The difference came when she was asking them to take away 14. The traditional class counted 1, 1, 1, 1 until they got up to 14. They took away 14 by ones. The Right Start class took away a 10 and then 4 ones. She goes on to say at the end of the paragraph where she's talking about this view of numbers is vital to understanding algorithms or procedures for doing arithmetic. It is so helpful when our children can see 14 as a 10 and 4 ones rather than 14 ones. And we'll see this as we get into some subtraction soon. So you're going to use an egg carton. And you know what? If you don't have an egg carton, you can draw like a big rectangle and draw 6 circles on the top and 6 circles on the bottom. And then you can use that to represent an egg carton if you don't have one. And then it talks about having 2 eggs in the egg carton because then it really helps the child to see the 5 on the top and the 5 on the bottom. Well, you can do the same if you're using paper. You don't need to put eggs, but you can lay 2 objects on those last 2 circles. The very last on the, the 6th circle on the first row, the 6th circle on the second row. The point is we just want children to see that this carton or this container has 12 places and they can easily see the 2 5s that make 10. This lesson also talks about on the second page in the extras that for children who speak English, we're not used to calling it the math way. We have been doing that, and we're back to calling it the regular way. But that math way of saying the numbers really helps to bring out this pattern. So you may want to use a math way of saying the numbers if necessary when you do this lesson, because we really want children to see the pattern. So after all the practice, you get down to the worksheet. Your child should be able to do the worksheet without any tools, but know that if they do need the tool, if they need the abacus, they need something to help them see it, let them use it. Remember, we want to adapt these lessons to best help our children learn. Lesson 95, Introducing Subtraction Equations. Yes, we're going to start doing some subtraction. We'll be working on subtraction in this lesson and then the following 3 lessons. And then after that, it will be a little bit in the review, the warm-up section. The big thing here is they're going to learn some terms, the term minus and the term subtraction. Before we go any further, look at the note in the extras, that second note towards the bottom of the page. It says, it is important for children to understand adding thoroughly before introducing subtraction. Yes, it means that if your child is struggling with their addition facts, do not proceed with this lesson. Take some time, stop, take a few days, go play some math games. So I'm going to take you to our website. It's been a while since we've done this, but we have a place where we can see what games have already been played rather than have to go back and look through the lessons. So here we go. You get to rightstartmath.com, go up here to resources, click teaching support, scroll down. The very bottom, it says game listing by levels. We're going to scroll down. We're in level A. And it's showing us what games we've played. In lesson 89, we played add 1 or 2, which is A13. We played A14. That spelling is wrong on there. N34, addition war. Go to the dump, old main. And so those are games that you would want to play or look in your game book. And if you would like to play some additional math addition games, stay in the same vicinity of the games that were listed and look for some that maybe you haven't played you'd like to try playing. 5 in a row solitaire is a fun game if you are wanting to work on your facts that equal 10. playing go to the dump with different numbers. You want to make 9, you want to make 11. So your focus on the addition is their facts up to 10, like 7 plus 3, 8 plus 2. Also working with basic number cards and adding 1 or 2. So like 9 plus 2 or 9 plus 1. You have 6 plus 2 or 6 plus 1. Those are the kind of addition we're talking about. If your child is confident and comfortable with those kind of addition problems, then go on with this lesson. If not, stop, go back and play some games until they get comfortable, until you see confidence in their getting the answers. Doesn't mean they have to have their answers super quick. Some children are slower processors. That's fine. But can they get the answer? That's the thing. That's the key right there. Doesn't matter how quick or how slow, but can they? If your child is ready to move on, they're going to start working in subtraction. And lastly, I want to point out in the explanations, it says this is not an introduction to fact families. We don't do that in Right Start. And it tells why. Last lesson for this week, lesson 96, subtraction as a missing add-in. Those are some big words. Basically, this is a strategy about going up, counting up. Actually, it's my favorite way of doing subtraction. Although the technical term here is adding on, not counting up. Oh well, they mean the same to me. In the explanation, it talks about how researchers have found that children can understand subtraction by adding on or counting up. Okay, I was right. That's what I said, counting up. This is where you could use your part whole circle set and its page protector. You could draw this on a marker board, your option, how you want to do it. And again, I love how we use this part whole circle set. They're so familiar with it. We've been doing this for addition. Well, guess what? It's been setting them up for subtraction. It should be a fairly easy transition. And I know I probably shouldn't use the word easy because it may not be easy for all of us. But I do believe because they're familiar with the part whole circle set that this is not going to be as challenging as they may think when they hear the word subtraction. And again, in these problems, like this problem on the top as the second page, make it personal. Adapt it to fit your family so your child can relate to it, and then maybe it will help him to understand it a little bit better. Give them the worksheet, and then if they need the abacus, if they ask to use the abacus, then give them the abacus. Otherwise, I wouldn't push the abacus. Just have it out. They should know that they can use it if needed, but let's see if they could do it without the abacus. All right, so we've completed this week getting into some subtraction. And remember, if your child is not comfortable and confident with their addition facts right now, up to 10, and then adding on 1 or adding on 2, it's okay. Take time, go play games, reinforce these concepts through games, help them to get comfortable and confident with it. And then you could come back and do these lessons. We've gone over 2 subtraction strategies. Next week, we'll cover 2 more. And next week's going to be a little bit of a lighter week because 2 of the lessons next week are a review and an assessment. So enjoy your week. And I will see you next week as we go over lessons 97 to 100. 100. That's exciting. Until then.